Hey, Laura J. On this dreary, rainy day that is making way for May flowers because of these April showers. Now, I wanted today's message to be about something that I've been reflecting on for a few years, in fact, though not spoke of, because figuring out how to navigate this conversation is one that I am still working out the kinks of. And it ultimately has to do with throwing away people and how we're connected to community with that concept. Here's how. When we're part of a community, we're connected to everyone that is in that community in some way. Hence the matrix leadership structure of the ladder, corporate ladder in the corporate world, or the family tree model within the family. We're ultimately connected through our genealogy and the power structures within it. Though a family system doesn't limit connection based on who came from who. For at a family do, you're supposed to connect with whoever you come into contact with and build relationships that are individual with each of those who are there. Bob's son, Papa Bob, was my grandpa, Hamilton, and Bob's son is my dad, Richard. So it's funny to bring in the signs that I see along my ride. And then it's also an opportunity to say that corporately, there is still an intermingling, such as when I went to the gala for the city of Hamilton back in 2018, when my date, who was just a friend, had asked me if I wanted anything from the bar, and I said, just water, please. And he came back without it. And I was like, where's my water? And he said, oh, where I come from, that means you're done drinking. It's like, oh, well, where I come from, that means I want water. So I went to the bar myself to get the water that I had asked him to get me. And in doing so, I ended up meeting the executive director, who asked who I was and who I was connected to within the city. And I shared who I had come with, and then shared that I am an empowerment coach with an alternative approach. And at the time, I was writing my first book, which took then 4 years, because that introduction led to an opening of a door that I closed on my own self. Because I had went too big and too fast and felt like a fraud because I didn't have the corporate experience to bring in the emotional awareness training that I had created and proposed after that meeting to the man who gave me the opportunity, because he saw the value and the passion that I had. And pulling out led to a breakdown because I didn't have anything else lined up, and I knew it was a great opportunity, and yet I wasn't ready then. Or I could have been, yet I doubted myself, and I allowed that to creep in and undermine me. And if things undermine something else, the thing that has been undermined will find the ground is not solid where we're standing. And it was because of my mind that I undermined myself, might I add. But that gave me ample opportunity to experience the pattern of devaluing ourselves. I devalued myself because of all of the stories that I didn't realize other people also hold, based on what we've been told. And yet, they are able to say, okay, put that story to the side, let's just go. And at the time, I was trying to go way too fast without being able to put those stories aside, because truth has always been so important to me. And now, better understanding truth from the perspective that it is tainted by our perspective, hence perspectivism being part of the corporate ladder that we can't see, but we know is there once we are in the organization and see there is a chain of command. Whichever organization it is that we step into that is structurally organized that way. And all of this is to say that when you're in that organization, you can create distance between those who are in the organization based on how much of your energy you extend to those that you want to or don't want to. And that is our choice. And the other choice is to leave that organization and go elsewhere to create ourselves anew, as we do when we're using titles and names in order to gain the fame and accolades of the opportunities that we have access to or are connected to. And then removing it from the corporate realm and taking it back to the fact that we are at the helm of our own lives, we then start to see that relationally, what I have noticed with communities that I have got involved with and also left, whether it be me or me watching others do this to another, or myself do it to another, is that oftentimes we throw out people, or try to. And what I've recently experienced, being in the middle of to a point, is how when you're in a community, or when you leave a community but are still maintaining connection to it, you can't throw out people as easily, because community sees the goings on that are not publicly declared, decreed, or shared. And we each have our own relations with people that we are connected to through organizations or how our community is organized. And I have seen far too many people cast people out of a community or not want to resolve the distrust that has come up between those involved in something that is private and between them, but oftentimes brings other community members into these connections. And when we try to pretend there is not a fly in the soup that we are serving to one who knows that that fly is in that stew, or it was, and we knew, so we don't want that stew any longer, we have to see what we've been stewing in emotionally too. I think this is important for us to be bringing up at this time because we remember. And when we're connected to people that we care for, we are more inclined to remember those stories where distrust was built between even two that we care for, each of individually. When there is that between them, we may say, oh, that's theirs to deal with. But then there is also the element of accountability and the fact that we all bring our own shit to the table, which is that metaphor for a fly in the stew that we brew on and then we share with others privately without the one the fly is about being able to know how those shares are tainting the other's view of the one who is in the stew between the ones who have stewed over it and then brewed it and shared the brew with friends. Metaphor for drinking. Alcohol being how we oftentimes connect or historically have, though that has not been my drug of choice. But certainly I've been drug along by choice, by allowing myself to get involved in the drama of others, that then actually changed my place in spaces where now my involvement and call for the clearing of such distrust or discomfort makes then me a threat in equal measure to the one that the other didn't want to have to deal with and doesn't have to, if they are able to maintain their own coercion over and in the culture of community that they are part of, especially when they are the ones who formed it. So I wonder what any and all of this means to you. Whether you've experienced the exclusion of one or some based on stories that another has told, and whether maybe you've experienced where those stories haven't been entirely true. Whether those stories are based on misinterpretations of intentions. Coronation Road, as I go off at 111, which is New Beginnings. The coronation being the ceremony of putting on a crown for a new sovereign to become the reine or queen we are under, the truth of. Souveraine being French as a homophone definition of the word, or homophonic breakdown of the word sovereign, that I think has been coined, captured, and delivers us straight into the hands of the man that need no name, because the man becomes the myth, who then becomes the legend, and the legs end where he stands, because it wasn't true but we believed him to be. And then we sing the hymns and gospels and go spell away words that we say are true because someone else told us so. Oh, did I go the right way is the question I got to ask, because I've not come off on this road before, and I see Columbus roads where I turn back. I will in fact go back the way I came, because Columbus is the discovery of a new way. So, that's enough randomness. And I also hope in my candidness you have gained something of benefit to you. 222 on the license plate. We're due for a comment. Let me know what this means to you and for you. And whether it's happened to you and you're carrying some of that hurt. Because those are the hurts that we put out in the collective pool of consciousness, I believe. And that's what we need to clear in order for us to actually be able to trust ourselves in a way we maybe haven't before. Peace.